So today I'm going to be doing a university Q&A video for you all again. I asked on Instagram, but I did ask at a very weird time. I asked in like the middle of the night whether you have any university questions and also normal Q&A questions. And I haven't got that many because I asked in the middle of the night. Obviously not many of you saw the questions and saw the Instagram post, so not many of you asked. So after this video, if you do have more questions, please put them down below and I'm going to do another one. Or if you have normal Q&A questions, I'd really appreciate that if you pop those down below, because I literally got about 2 questions on the Instagram post for normal questions because you guys didn't see it. So I'm going to get on and do a university Q&A video, but if you have any other questions, university or normal, please put them down below. The first question is, did you join any societies in Freshers, and if so, did you stick with them? I joined the Fashion Society because I was doing fashion buying and merchandising, just like all of my friends did, and it was the biggest disappointment you've ever known in your life. It was £5 to join and we had one social and that was it, but I do think that was kind of like our society. I think a lot of the other ones are a lot better, especially if you join sports societies. They are so good. They do socials all the time. You obviously play sport together, you like to go to training, whatever, and they always have such a good group of friends. Oh, there's an ice cream man. So my flatmate actually joined the hockey society and she made so many friends, and I don't know, just a lot of people that were quite similar to her, and that was just really nice. Whereas like for me, I'm not a very sporty person. When I was younger, I absolutely loved dance, so I do wish that I would have joined the dance society, but I still have that option this year. I can still join it this year if I would like. I would recommend joining societies, especially if you do find it difficult making friends. I didn't necessarily find it difficult making friends in the first week or so, but say if you are in Freshers and you think I'm struggling, I think you should like to join a society is a really good thing to do, especially a sports society, as I said, because they do a lot together. So it just depends on you really, but my experience of a society was horrendous. I really wish they had like a cocktail making society, because like I don't know, I just think that would be amazing, but I just haven't got the time and space to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm going to make a cocktail making society, because it just takes such a lot of time and such a lot of planning as well to kind of create your own society. But if you want to join one, I would definitely recommend it, because I know a lot of people that absolutely love them. This question was really good. This is what would you say is the best part about uni, and what would you say is the most challenging? The best part is 100% your independence, like 100 trillion billion %. If you've watched my vlog from last week, it would have been now, when you see this video, you will see that I got really upset kind of being at home, because I just got to the point where I thought I'd been living by myself for such a long time, and then kind of I've come home and I've got to kind of abide to other people's rules, and not necessarily rules. I don't care about, oh, you've got to dust your room. That doesn't bother me. It's things when I can't do things I want to do because I've got to do other things, if that makes sense. I'm not being horrible in the slightest, but it's just difficult from going from being at uni and being completely by yourself and living by yourself and doing everything you want by yourself, to then coming home and having to listen to things that other people are telling you to do. And I've really struggled with that. Not majorly, like, I wouldn't say that me and my parents have had that many arguments since me coming home, but I am desperate to go back to uni. I don't know, I'm just really excited to be able to have that independence again. That is definitely the best thing. Just the fact you get to live by yourself, you get to just do whatever you want. If you want to lie in bed for an entire day and watch Netflix and eat like chocolate and order Domino's and do whatever you want, and you can, like, you've got no one, like, I don't know, if you order Domino's, your house says, well, why have you ordered Domino's? Like, oh, well, like, you know, you've got none of that. It's just completely just you, and it's all everything you want to do. And I think that is the best part, because pretty much if you have come in from being like 18 and going straight into uni, you will probably have never had that, and it was the best thing in the world. So definitely look forward to that, because it's just great. The most challenging for me, I can't really think of anything. I can't think of one negative about uni. Like, seriously, I love the place. I don't know, I just love it so much. The only negative I would say is probably missing your family, so it's kind of like the same as the positive in a way. But yeah, obviously because you haven't got your family like there, and friends as well, because it is really difficult to see your friends from home, I have to say. Like, we struggled with that. We've all kind of stayed probably as close as we were when we left to go to uni, just because we've been friends for a long time, so it's kind of that thing, if you don't see each other, it hasn't been the biggest deal in the world, but it's just been nice to be able to see them more. But it's it's so difficult because, yeah, you can say, oh my god, we've got all this free time, but like in the weeks when you have lectures, they won't, or when, you know, you're free, they won't be free, and, you know, most likely they're across the country, or even if they're an hour away, still an hour away, and it's just not quite the same as kind of being in A-levels and seeing them every day, and I found that quite difficult. Not at the start, because at the start you've made all of these new friends and you don't really miss anybody at all, but then when you have situations where you really need a friend that's known you like throughout everything, that's when you start to miss them and you think they're ages away, and even though they're only a phone call away and that's nice, you still want to just see them. And I think I don't have that anymore. I obviously still miss my friends, but my uni friends are now like some of my best friends, so I can rely on them like as much as my home friends. This has got into like a friends debate. But what I mean is that when you first get there, and if something happens, or you just have a situation where you just want to talk to someone that really knows you, obviously your friends, you've only been friends with them at uni for a couple of weeks. So I'd say that's probably the most challenging, is kind of missing friends and family. This question relates to the last one. This is, how did you deal with homesickness at uni in the first few weeks / months? I didn't struggle with it at all at the start, like not in the slightest. I think it's that whole excitement of getting to uni, and I was so excited to go. I just kind of geared myself up for such a long time to go to uni, and I think it's just that thing, I don't know, you're just so excited, so I didn't miss anybody, like not one person for a couple of months, maybe a bit less than that, maybe about a month and a half, and then it kind of started to like hit like, oh, I actually live by myself. I think kind of obviously because you're moving with your flatmates and you're kind of like getting to know them, and then you're making friends and you're on your course and everything's so new, and then suddenly that all kind of wears off a little bit. It never really wears off, it's always great, but it wears off a little bit, and obviously that's then your life, and then you think, oh, hang on a second, I actually quite miss my mum, or I actually quite miss my brother, or I miss my dad, or I miss my best friend, or whatever. You just start to think it. Now, I know people that really struggle with it in the first week, and I think that depends on your experience of your first week, to be quite honest. Like, it depends on your experience of freshers, whether kind of you have a situation that scares you or is challenging to you, or whatever. I didn't, I just loved it. Like, I had a really, really good freshers. But if you do have a situation like that, then you'll probably get homesickness before, and then it will wear off. I think everyone gets it at some point. Mine was never that bad. If it was, I just got in the car and came back, and I just saw my family, and then I kind of went back to uni, and kind of made it fine. I think I'm really close to my mum. Like, I'm close to my dad as well, my brother and whatever. Me and my mum are literally best friends, and so before I went to uni, I was really worried that I was going to really struggle not being kind of always with her, because like in the night we'd sit and we'd chat and I'd just tell her everything, and it's just that kind of thing. Obviously you go to uni and then obviously you don't have that, and there was times, especially when I was changing my degree, and I felt like I didn't really have anybody to speak to it about, because all of my friends at uni were kind of on that degree, so I wasn't going to be like, oh, I don't like your degree. It's a difficult subject to approach a little bit, and because I felt kind of like I was a failure at the time, I suppose talking to people that are on the same level as you and they're really enjoying it and they're getting on fine, it was really difficult to admit that. So kind of then I got probably the most homesick when I was kind of changing my degree, because I didn't like something at uni at that point. I think everyone's different. Everyone will get homesick at some point, and people will get it worse than others. But as I said, me and my mum were so close before I went to uni, and I was really worried, and seriously, it was absolutely fine. So don't worry too much about being homesick. Just try and kind of take it out of your mind, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Someone's asked, how do you cope with money struggles at uni? And I'm pretty sure somebody else asked a question like that down in the comments. I'll see when I get there. But basically, money struggles at uni. Everyone's very different, and I think money is a very sensitive subject, whether you're 5 or whether you're 10, whether you're 25 or whether you're 50. It's very sensitive, and I don't think you really ever talk about it, especially at uni. It's the whole thing of, well, you got a bigger loan than me, or I didn't get much loan, but then your parents give you much more money, or it's just that kind of thing, and you don't really approach it very often. I don't find anyway. I get people saying, oh, I can't wait for loan day or whatever, but actually approaching the subject of money, I don't think happens very much at all, but I just think that in life anyway. I didn't struggle at uni, if I'm honest, at all, and I think You just have to budget. At the end of the day, I had a job when I was at uni. I didn't work all the time, but I worked like 2 days a week in the first term. It was 2.5 days I worked in the first term. So it would like 2 whole days and like a half day because I had like uni on one morning. And then in the second term, I worked 2 whole days and 2 half days. I can't really remember, but it's a similar thing to that. So I didn't actually have much time. Like my whole week, like from Monday to Friday, was actually full. Because I had this job, and then I had like the rest, like, you know, people that I was friends with, or not really friends with, people in my flat had so much free time and were constantly like laying in bed till 12 and whatever, and it did get a bit like, oh, forgot it, I've got to go to work, and they just get to sit and watch Netflix all day, and that was annoying. I have to admit, that was really, really annoying. But at the end of the day, I can then go and buy the things that I wanted. Like when I was shopping for my food, I wouldn't buy like the cheapest things. I wouldn't buy the most expensive. But if I wanted something, I'd buy it because I had the money to, because I had a job. I think most people, your loan will cover, if not nearly cover, your accommodation. I think some people do it differently. I have some of my friends that kind of use their loan to live on, and the parents paid for the accommodation. I had my loan for my accommodation. My parents helped me out kind of going to uni, and then I had a job. So it depends which way around you do it. My loan didn't cover my accommodation fully. It was about £200 out every term, but it's not a drastic amount. Don't worry too much about money at uni. I think at the end of the day, like, probably if you're sensible, you will be working at the moment and saving up a bit of money for freshers. You don't need absolutely tons. I think a lot of people think you need tons and tons and tons. And yeah, you do spend quite a lot of money because you're going out like every night. It depends whether your freshers is a fortnight or a week. But I just think you'll be saving money at the moment if you're sensible. And I think when you get there, if you get to like, if you spent a ridiculous amount of money in freshers and you get a couple of weeks in and you just think, do you know what, I think for me, I'm going to need a job to kind of buy the things that I want, then just go and get one. That's my opinion anyway. I think that's what you should do. And if you don't want to get a job, that is entirely your choice. As I said, it's a very sensitive subject. And yeah, but one thing I will say, if you do want to get a job at uni, which I would very much recommend, because you are literally in like, I'd say a maximum of 4 days, but I was in 4 days in the first term, but one of the days I was literally in for like an hour in the morning. 2 of the days actually. One of the days I was in for like 2 hours, and another day I was in for like an hour. I'm not being funny, but like, what even, it's nothing. So you can definitely get a job and have the time to do it. But one thing I would say is, if you are going to get a job, please try and do it before September, or if you can, not necessarily before September, but look before you go to uni. So even looking like a couple of weeks before, if you're looking for retail jobs, obviously the interviews like might be kind of while you're at home, but I'm sure you could go up for one day for one interview, because at the end of the day, when you get there in September, everybody is going to be applying for jobs. So yeah, if you do want a job, I definitely say apply before you start uni. Somebody else has just asked the question, how has it been for you and your boyfriend at uni? So I've mentioned this in my last uni Q&A, which I will link down below if you haven't seen it already. We broke up before I went to uni. So someone asked me in my last uni Q&A, how did you get through freshers? And I just said, well, we weren't together. And that was that. We weren't together through freshers, and I feel like that would be more difficult than uni, like the entire year. I think freshers is a little bit more difficult to stay together for. I hope you know what my drift is going, than uni is. We broke up before we went to uni because we just thought it wouldn't work. Don't do that, because it has worked, and we got back together probably the end of October, and it did work out really well. I wouldn't recommend having that in your mind. I don't think it's a very good idea to kind of be with someone and think, I'm going to break up with you just before I go to uni, then we're going to get back together at the end of October. Like, that doesn't work. But it was really good to be single in that time, I have to admit, 100%, because you're making new friends, you've got your flatmates, it's a whole new experience, and you want to do it by yourself. And I think that's one thing I will say. I think if you're going to uni with your best friend, if you're going to uni with your boyfriend, that is completely up to you. But for me, I think uni's experience, you have to do it by yourself. You have to go by yourself, and that's why I always say, do not pick somewhere just because your friend's going or because your boyfriend's going. And I went on a massive rant about that in my last Q&A. As I said, it'll be linked down below if you want to see it. But it's been fine. after the October time, when we got back together, we haven't had any problems at all. We've seen each other every weekend, barring a few, which may seem excessive, but as I said in the last one, you don't do anything at the weekends at uni. Like, no one really does anything. I missed out on a couple of things that my friends were doing, but nothing major. And if I wasn't there, then they'd always be so nice and just say, oh, we'll just do it next week when you're here or whatever. And so I would drive down to see him, and then he'd drive up to see me like the next weekend. So we'd just like chop and change. And it was really easy, if I'm quite honest. Just I'd leave on a Friday night, go down to his, stay Friday night, Saturday night, and then sometimes I'd stay Sunday night, depending on when my lectures were on a Monday. And yeah, and it was just easy and worked for us, definitely. So I wouldn't say it's hard at all. It's hard, obviously, being away from someone, but again, I think it helped because we'd split up for those 2 months, or a month and a bit, however much. I think it was like a month and a half or whatever. Because we split up for that amount of time, we'd had like the uni experience by ourselves, and we'd also had the whole independence thing. So it wasn't like you didn't miss them because you weren't together. Obviously you missed them because you weren't together, but you understand what I'm trying to say. You weren't pining to see them every weekend. Whereas, and then when we got back together, obviously it was easier because we hadn't seen each other for like 2 months. So seeing each other every weekend was like the best thing. So yeah, I feel like I can't give that much advice on the subject just because, as I say, we did break up before we went. So I don't really know what to say. I'm not too sure. But please don't take what I've said and put it into your relationship. Please don't think, oh, we need to break up before we go to uni, because you don't. Seriously, like, it's been absolutely fine for us the entire year. And we've got on great. And there's never been a time where I thought, do you know what, this is really hard to the point of we're going to have to break up, because it hasn't been that situation. I think it also depends on you and your relationship and how strong it is as well. Apart from like the times when me and Bradley have broken up a couple of times, we've been together 4 years, so it's quite a strong relationship, I suppose. So I think at the end of the day, we've got through it, and we've broken up a couple of times, so I feel like you're probably going to be able to do it. But I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I'm sorry. Right, this question I had to answer. It's, would you advise moving away from uni, or is it hard dealing with a new place and new people as well as doing a new degree? Do not stay at home. It depends on you, and I don't want people going, do you know what, blah, 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 in the comments. To be honest, none of you do that. I don't really get much horrible stuff from any of you guys. But one thing I would say is I think moving away to go to uni is the best thing you can possibly do. Doing it at home, if you're going to stay at home, it's just a no-go. I think unless you are incredibly shy and you think, I cannot do this, like, or you've got really bad anxiety and you think there is no way I can move away and go to a new place, then go. One thing I will say, if you live at home with your parents, unless you live in the middle of the city centre, right next to the uni and next to the halls of residence, say if you're going on a night out with your friends, how are you going to get home? Like, uni halls are always pretty much in the centre by all the clubs and whatever, or they're not a long walk, like 20 minutes at most, and or like a short taxi ride away. And if you're living absolutely ages away, or even if it's just like a half-an-hour taxi and everyone else has got a 5-minute walk home, it's just a bad situation, isn't it? And I just think when you're in halls as well, you, even just in your block of flats, like, you make friends. My best friends work for my block of flats, but you do make friends in your block of flats. And, you know, you just have really funny times. Like, we had 2 lads that used to walk around naked in our block of flats. Like, they just used to, like, run around, and it was just really funny. And so many memories that I have that are just so funny that we had in our, like, flat and, like, all of the flats around us that you wouldn't have if you were at home. So I can't stress enough how much I think that going away to a new place to start a degree is the best thing you can do. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. And that's what you've got to think. It's your choice, and you will know deep down. I do think someone asked a question. Actually, they did ask a question and they deleted it this morning. And it was something along the lines of, how do you know kind of whether to move away to go to uni? I think it was along those lines. I didn't get to read it properly. But you just know. When you sit down by yourself with nobody else, you sit in bed at night and you think, yeah, do you know what? I think I should move away, or I really can't. You will know yourself. And I think everyone will know what they think they should do. When I was looking at unis, I tried to look at the same uni as Bradley. I tried to convince myself that I wanted to go to Nottingham Trent because that's where he wanted to go at the time. I really tried to convince myself, and I came to the decision that Manchester was the place for me, and I did not want to go to Nottingham Trent. I didn't really like it that much, but I just really, really tried to like it. So that's one thing I definitely would say. Please just, I don't know, just make the decision by yourself. Don't try and be like convinced by your parents. Obviously they'll try and do the best for you, but sometimes they may not. Sometimes they may not want you to leave, so they're asking you to stay at home, and I think that's bad. I think if you want to go, go. But I just think it's such a great experience. You have all this independence, you make new friends, you do everything with your friends. Like, one of the reasons why I'm fed up of being home is because at uni, like, I'd be in bed and one of my friends would text me, oh, would you like to go out for a drink? And it'd be like 10 o'clock. I'd be in bed in my pyjamas with no makeup on and my hair up. We'd just go, yeah, see you in 15 minutes. And we'd meet in 15 minutes and go out for a drink. And then we get McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way home. I can't do that at home. And I miss those memories and I miss doing that. And I just think if you're at home, like, that's quite a good example. If you're at home, you're not going to do that. You're not going to, like, be in bed or with your mum and dad downstairs and your friend texts you, oh, do you want to go out, do you want to go out for a drink at, like, 10 o'clock when you're in your pyjamas with your mum and dad? It's a bit of a different situation than being in your pyjamas in your flat at uni, round the corner from your friend and round the corner from the place you're going to go for a drink. So, there you go. There's just an explanation. But in my opinion, you should move away. Sorry for the long answer. I'm going to answer one more question because there's another question about relationships, but I feel like I've kind of answered that in the last question. And then there's another question about money, but I feel like I kind of answered that question too. I will just slightly touch on that one. Someone's asked, do I feel like it's going to be a worse situation with money in my second year? And no, I think it'll be a lot better. Obviously, I'm still in my first year, but I'm moving into a house. Houses are normally cheaper than halls. Ours is cheaper than halls. The majority are. Just because in halls, they can charge as much as they want at the end of the day and you're going to pay it. Whereas houses are normally cheaper. So ours is cheaper, so I feel like, not majorly, but I will have a little bit of spare money from my loan. So that's always a good thing. Whereas, as I said, I didn't have anything left before. Like, I had to pay more on top of that. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be harder at all. I think it will be pretty much the same. We will have a lot more to buy going into the house than we did in halls. Just things like a mop, a TV stand, like TV we're just bringing from home, but things like a TV stand, just things like that you don't really think about. But that's obviously before we go. So while I'm there, it should be easier in my opinion. I'm going to just answer one more question, and this is, how do you balance your life? How do you balance your life at uni? I think that's what to say. And what is an average day in uni like? I thought it was a really good question, and this is going to be my last question to answer. So, how do I balance my life at uni? I'm not too sure what you mean. Maybe like between like drinking, friends, work, uni work, that kind of thing. I'm not going to lie, unless you're doing a science or law, your work's not going to be that difficult before Christmas. You probably won't do any uni work. Maybe a little bit, but not much. It's really not that difficult before Christmas, and then you get to Christmas and you normally either have exams or coursework around Christmas time, and then you have another set of exams kind of around like Easter time, and then like up until like May, because then that's when you leave. So I'm saying really between September and December you really don't do any work. So I never felt like I had to balance the uni work out at all. That wasn't something that I felt like I had to do. I don't know, it just kind of came, and there wasn't much to balance out until the very end when we had like the exams and the coursework. There wasn't many times when you had to balance out the work. And also because my friends were on the same course, I felt like it was easier because we were all doing the same assignment, for example, at the same time. We all had a deadline, so we'd never go out around that time. So I didn't have like the pressure of people saying, oh, do you want to come out? And you're like, oh, I've got to do my assignment. Whereas like we were all in exactly the same boat, so we were all doing the same assignment. So that kind of helped, I suppose. One thing, as I said before, having a job, I did find, because I didn't work at weekends, I did like office work anyway, so it wouldn't be weekends. Because I didn't work at weekends and I wanted to see Bradley, and I won't this year either, it does kind of take up a bit more time. Whereas if you just work weekends, you're going to have your whole week. So you've got kind of any time to do anything. And as I said, you'll probably be in about 3 days a week is probably the average, I'd say, at uni. As I said, unless you're doing like a science, even law, you don't do many hours at all. So you probably be in a maximum of 3 days a week. So those other 2 days you can do what you want, and then you could work at the weekends. But as I said, because I'm seeing Bradley, I wouldn't work at weekends. That's one thing I did find a bit difficult, is working, and well, not working, but doing something every day. So like I don't know, just I think in the first term I had a whole day on Monday, like in uni. Then I think I had an hour in uni on the Tuesday, and I worked the rest of the day. Then Wednesday I worked as well. Or did I? Yeah, Wednesday I worked, but only not for very long. Thursday I had uni, and then on Friday I worked the whole day. I think that's what it was. But it was something along those lines. So I was always doing something, like any day I was always doing something. And I found that was not hard, because you do it at home, but it's just the fact that everybody else was like watching Netflix and stuff, and then I was off going to work. So I suppose that was difficult to start with. But not overly difficult to the point where I was like crying, or I was really upset, or made myself homesick. Like, it was just a bit frustrating that everybody else like was sat at home and you had to go to work. But if you want nice things, and you want the things that you used to spend at home, then you kind of have to go and do it. So it's completely up to you, as I said, with the whole job thing. If you aren't going to spend much money, you think I'll be absolutely fine living off my loan, I don't mind going into my overdraft, then don't get a job. Like, if you don't want one, you don't have to have one. But all I'm saying is that I did, because I knew I still wanted to buy my lipsticks and my clothes and anything that I wanted to buy. Like, I felt like I could. Obviously, you do have times. I'm not saying that I was like the richest person in the world. I mean, you do have times where you think, do you know what, I'm going to cut down at the moment. Like, I haven't got much money till my next paycheck or whatever. So I definitely say, obviously, everyone has that. Also, what's the rest of the question? What is an average day in uni like? I feel like I haven't even answered the first half of the question, but I'm getting a bit confused. So let's go with the average day in uni. So most of my lectures started at 10. Some of them started at 1. So in the first term, my Monday was 1 till 6. That was the longest day I had. And finishing at 6 is not very nice, especially when it gets to like November and it's pitch black outside. You go home and it's freezing and it's raining, and that was horrible. But I didn't have to start till 1, so you can't really complain, can you? So you kind of get up. Most people don't get up very early. I was definitely the earliest person to get up, even when I'd get up at 10 o'clock and nobody else would be up, like in my flat. But my flat were very much layeriness, definitely. So I don't know, you get up, you get in the shower, just as you do at home. Go and get yourself some breakfast or whatever. I kind of had my mini fridge in my room, so I used to kind of grab a few things out of there and then go into the kitchen, make my breakfast. And then normally, if I was in the kitchen, sometimes I'd like wake somebody else up being in the kitchen. So then one of my other flatmates would come in like, oh, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have a nice sleep? Like, chat a bit, just about kind of like what we're doing the day. And then I normally like go and get ready and whatever. And then say if I had like a 10 o'clock lecture, I'd go into uni at 10 o'clock. And so on a Monday, the second term, I was 10 till 5, but I had a gap in the middle. So say you go to uni, you do your lecture, say you have a 2-hour lecture, then you might have another 2-hour lecture, then you might have like an hour break. And we used to, in our first term, 100% we always used to go to Starbucks and get ham and cheese toasties. Me and 2 of my friends, like we were in the same seminar group, and we just used to go get ham and cheese toasties like they were going out of fashion. Ham and cheese toasties and caramel macchiatos. That was our Tuesday morning, because we had like a gap on a Tuesday morning. We always used to do that. It was absolutely fab. I don't know. I don't really know. You can't really say what an average day is, because every day is different, just because your timetable is different. Some days you will not be in at all, and some days if I wasn't working, you just lay in until like 11, or okay, that's not very late, is it, for some people? That's quite late for me. Lay until like 11, and then like I'd watch Netflix and like chill out, and then maybe probably like 3 or 4ish, like me and my friends would be like, do you want to do something? So then like sometimes like I drive to the travel centre, like obviously drive them to the travel centre too, drive to the travel centre, or I don't know, there was just so many things we used to do, like always still do. I'm going to be going back in September, but it was very spontaneous, uni is, and that's one thing that I'll say is probably one of my favourite things about it, that you can just be at uni As I said, I was in bed and then my friends would text me, do you want to go out for a drink? And like one day we just decided we were going to go to the trampoline park in Manchester, which is like got the trampolines, it's like a factory and they've got like trampolines all over the walls and like on the floor and whatever. We just suddenly decided to go to the trampoline park. Like, it's just so spontaneous because you've got so much free time, everyone's round the corner, or you live with them like next year, and you just do things. Like, there's no planning involved, and I like that. Like, it's made me so much more of like a free person in a way. Like, I really don't plan anymore. I'm just like, yeah, take things as it comes, and I think that's the best way to be, because before I went to uni I had a plan for everything. I had a plan for the rest of my life when I was going to have children. Every single little aspect of my life was planned out. And look what happened. I went to uni and decided I didn't even want to do the degree that I chose in the first place. I didn't even want to do the job that I thought I wanted to do, and the whole plan was surrounded by. So I think that's probably the best thing that's come out of me going to uni, is that I'm so much more chilled now. I feel like I'm just like, I'll just take everything as it comes. Like, tomorrow night I'm going out for a meal with my friends, and it's after work. I'm really, you know, before uni I might have been like, oh no, you know, I'm going to come back home, just going to rest, like, you know, I've got work in the morning. Who cares? Like, it's just a meal out with my friends and I don't see them very often. So, I don't know, I just feel like I'm a lot more chilled now than before I went to uni, and I feel like that's probably the best thing that's come out of me going. So, yeah, sorry for not answering your question. It was a really rubbish answer. So that is the end of my Q&A. I love doing Q&As. They're literally like my favourite videos to film. I just chat at the camera and it's just great. I do feel like a bit of a loner after I've filmed it though, and I think I've just sat for 40 minutes and talked to myself. Anyway, if you've got any other Q&A questions, either normal ones or uni Q&A questions, please leave them down below, or go and comment on the Instagram post that was up. It's a selfie of me with a palm tree green top on, so go and comment on that and ask questions if you haven't already. So yeah, and I will do another one very, very soon. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. The button is just down below, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye guys. Very quickly, I have just forgot, I just want to quickly say I'm thinking of vlogging the whole of August. Now I was going to mention it on my vlog channel, but I've just ended the vlog and it'd be just difficult to start the vlog just to ask this question. But I was thinking of vlogging the whole of August. Not really too sure what I'm going to call it. If you would like that, please let me know. But obviously it will be over my vlog channel, so if you want to see that, you will have to go and subscribe to the vlog channel. The button is just down below, and I have now changed the link to the vlog channel. It was linking to some random girl's vlog channel. I've now changed it, now links to my vlog channel. So yeah, please go and click that down below if you kind of want to see me kind of vlog the whole of August, and give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see that, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye.